In 2016, CASA volunteers provided support, advocacy, and mentorship to 160 children who had been victims of abuse and neglect in Boulder County. Of these children,
151 experienced neglect where their basic needs were not being met.
22 experienced physical abuse.
13 were born addicted to a substance.
7 experienced sexual abuse by a parent or caretaker.
26 were witness to domestic violence.
9 were involved in a DUI.
I wanted to talk about a case that we recently closed, which is a particularly good case to illustrate how a CASA can really make a difference in a kid's life over a period of time, and what's kind of special about the CASA relationship. One of the things that strikes me as being most special is that CASAs have longevity of relationship, so they can be involved in a kid's life for the duration of their case, and sometimes even longer. And in this instance, the child has been involved in the system since 2009. The CASA has been involved in his life for the past 4 years. So the CASA was assigned just about when the boy was turning 14, and he's been working with him for the past 4 years, right up until his 18th birthday, which is coming up this month. And this is a child who didn't have a lot of family support from his biological parents. His biological mom was abusive, his biological dad is in prison. Mom relinquished her rights, and he ended up being up for adoption. He was placed with a prospective adoptive family, and that adoption failed, in part because this is a kid who has a number of pretty intense mental health needs. He was diagnosed as bipolar as a fairly young kid at 10, and a lot of those behaviors that went along with his diagnosis made it hard, I think, for the people that had planned to adopt him to manage his behaviors and kind of adjust to having him in the home. So he ended up, over the course of the next kind of 8 years of his life, being in 30 plus residences. He was in 11 different psych hospitals, or had 11 different psych hospital stays. He was in placement in Colorado Springs, in Fort Collins, in Denver, and in Pueblo. And throughout all of that kind of rocky transition, he didn't have a lot of consistency in his life. So his CASA for the past 4 years has probably been the most consistent, supportive adult that he could depend on, and that was giving him positive feedback. I thought that this case was really striking because this is a kid who really has gone through some tough times in his life. He's been suicidal, he's been in situations where he needed to be in residential treatment or he needed to be hospitalized. And even during those phases of his life, his CASA was able to support him, to give him a break from placements and settings that were sometimes hard for him to bear, and to just kind of shout out a consistent message that everything was eventually going to be okay.
CASAs, or court-appointed volunteers, that are there to support these children, be a consistent adult in their lives, and provide an independent recommendation to the court system on their behalf. This can look very different for each child, from helping transport 7 siblings to visits on the weekends, finding a summer camp for them, and making recommendations on increasing therapy. CASAs significantly improve outcomes for children in the child welfare system.